In the deep silence of space, something strange began to move. The UNSS Vigilant, a powerful human ship, floated near the edge of a dangerous sector known as the Black Belt. This area was full of dead stars, forgotten planets, and broken ships. No one liked coming here, but today, Captain Nora Blake had no choice. She stood on the bridge staring at the main screen. A repeating signal was flashing there. Simple but clear. 4 words spoken in Old Earth English. Help us. They're here. The signal had no source listed. It was coming from a planet called Yerstar 6, a place that had been marked as a death world over 100 years ago. No one lived there. No one ever should. That signal is human, said Lieutenant Ramos, checking the data again. But it's at least 112 years old, still looping. It never stopped. Captain Nora narrowed her eyes. Prepare a team. We're going down. The shuttle passed through thick gray clouds as it entered Yerstar 6's atmosphere. The sky looked poisoned, full of ash and fire. Lightning danced far away, but there was no sound. When they landed, the ground cracked under their boots. It felt empty, like even the wind had died long ago. Sergeant Keller scanned the area. Radiation low. Air is toxic, but manageable with suits. They began walking toward the signal's location. Every step felt heavier than the last. The buildings were made of dark steel, broken and twisted by time. Some looked melted, others crushed. This place had once been a human colony, but now it was just a grave. Inside the old command tower, they found the transmitter. It was still running, powered by a small nuclear cell. A screen blinked slowly, showing the same message. Help us. They're here. But who were they? Lieutenant Ramos pulled out a black box, scanning the air. There's no sign of life here, no bodies, no bones, nothing. Captain Nora walked to the back of the room. She found a sealed door with a handprint scanner. Old tech, but still working. She placed her hand on it. The door opened with a slow hiss. Behind it, a narrow hallway led to an underground chamber. The walls were cleaner here, untouched by the storm above. As they moved deeper, a soft humming sound began to echo around them. At the end of the hallway stood a stasis pod, a glass container filled with blue liquid. Inside it floated someone, a child, a girl, no more than 10 years old, with pale skin and long black hair. Her eyes were closed. Wires connected her body to the pod's walls. Lieutenant Ramos whispered, "How is she alive?" No one answered. The pod had been sealed for over a century, yet the child looked untouched. By time, Captain Nora looked at a metal plaque near the pod. It read, Subject 01, Mira. Bioadaptive prototype, property of Earth Military Command. Sergeant Keller took a step back. She's not just a child. She's an experiment. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The humming grew louder. The pod began to drain its liquid. "Wait, what's happening?" Nora shouted. The pod opened with a loud click. The girl opened her eyes. Her gaze was calm, too calm for a child. She looked around slowly, then spoke. "Are you new builders?" Captain Nora took a careful step forward. "We're from Earth. My name is Nora. We came because of your signal." Mira tilted her head. "The signal was not for you. It was for them. To warn them." "Warn who?" She pointed to the sky. "The others. The ones watching." Suddenly alarms beeped. Ramos checked his device. "Something just scanned us. I'm from orbit." Keller ran to the hallway. "Captain, something's outside, moving fast." "I don't know what it is, but..." A loud bang shook the ground. From the shadows, a strange sound echoed, something between a whisper and a growl. Captain Nora raised her weapon. Mira stood beside her, eyes still calm. "They came back," Mira said softly, "and they're still hungry." The storm outside was growing louder. Inside the underground lab, Captain Nora and her team stood frozen. Mira, the strange child from the stasis pod, was fully awake now. She looked more curious than afraid, even as the walls shook and something moved above them. "Secure the exits," Nora ordered quickly. "Ramos, get me satellite eyes. Keller, keep your weapon up." Mira watched them calmly. "You shouldn't have come here." The team moved deeper into the lab. It was larger than they had expected. Metal corridors stretched in every direction. Some doors were locked, others broken. Strange machines stood like statues, half melted, half alive. Sergeant Keller stared at one. This looks like old human tech, but it's mixed with something else." Lieutenant Ramos wiped dust off a screen. It blinked to life. Dozens of video logs appeared, all marked with red text. "Classified. Earth command only." Opened one. The video showed a scientist speaking quickly, fear in his eyes. "They told us to create survival units, something that could live anywhere, any world, any climate. We made them strong, fast, adaptive. But they changed. We lost control. Project Gravesteel was shut down, but the prototypes, they didn't die." Captain Nora clenched her jaw. "So, Earth made weapons and left them here?" Mira stood silently behind her. Then she spoke. "They made us here. We were their solution to war. But they didn't love us. They locked us away when we changed." Nora turned. "You're saying there are more like you?" Mira didn't answer, but she pointed to a nearby door, half buried under rubble. They cleared the path and forced it open. Behind it was a massive hangar. Old tanks and exosuits were lined up like bones in a grave. Some were crushed. Some looked like they had melted from the inside. The room was cold, too cold. Keller whispered, "There was a fight here, but I don't see any enemies." That's when they found the walls, covered in claw marks, from the inside. Ramos swallowed hard. "These machines, they weren't destroyed. They were trying to get out." A sudden noise stopped them all. Clang, clang, metal echoing against metal. Then, silence. The team aimed their weapons, searching the shadows. A small red light blinked in the corner of the hangar. Ramos approached slowly and found a small flying drone, old Earth model, trying to transmit something. The screen on its front turned on. A child's face appeared. It was Mira, but younger. Protocol 9 activated. "Defense units released. Mission: survive all threats. Terminate hostiles. Do not trust builders." The drone exploded. Mira stepped forward, her voice soft but cold. "That message was mine. I made it before I slept." Suddenly, from the dark ceiling above, a sound dropped down. Something heavy. A giant shape fell, hitting the ground hard. A metal creature, part machine, part muscle. Its face was a twisted version of a human skull, covered in steel. It stood still. Then it moved. "Fast! Open fire!" Keller shouted. Bullets slammed into the creature, but it barely slowed. It knocked Keller across the room like a toy. Mira did not move. Instead, she walked forward and raised her hand. The creature froze. It looked at her and knelt. The team watched in horror. Captain Nora asked, voice shaking, "What are you?" Mira turned slowly. "I am what they built. I am their mistake. And now I am awake." Alarms began to sound. Dozens of red lights lit up across the map Ramos had activated earlier. Movement. From underground tunnels. From the sky. From everywhere. "Captain," Ramos said, panicked. "They're waking up. All of them." Nora stared at Mira. "You called them, didn't you?" Mira nodded once. "They are my brothers and sisters. They heard the signal. The builders are back and they remember." Final scene, visual focus. Outside the ruins, the storm calms for a moment. From under the ground, cracks appear, and metal hands rise. 1, 2, 10, hundreds. Silent, waiting, their queen has returned. The underground base was now awake. Machines that had slept for 100 years had started to move. The air was thick with tension. The walls felt alive. Captain Nora's team was hiding in the control chamber. Outside, the hangar echoed with the sound of moving metal and heavy footsteps. Sergeant Keller was injured, lying against the wall holding his ribs. "They're not just machines," he said between breaths. "They're hunting us like animals." Mira stood in the center of the room, calm and silent. Her eyes glowed faintly now. Not human, not machine. Something in between. Captain Nora stepped forward. "You need to talk to us, Mira. Right. Now." Mira looked up at her. There was no fear in her voice. "I was born in a lab like this. Not one, many. I don't know which was first. They called themselves mothers." "Mothers?" Nora asked. "You mean scientists?" Mira nodded. "They created me, taught me, tested me, watched me grow." Her voice turned cold. "Then they left." Lieutenant Ramos leaned in. "Why would Earth leave something like you behind?" "They didn't mean to," Mira said quietly. "They tried to destroy us, but some of us were stronger." Suddenly, a monitor in the room lit. Up a video began to play, security footage from the past. It showed a room full of scientists in white suits, standing around a glass chamber. Inside the chamber, a young Mira, maybe 5 years old. The scientists were speaking quickly. Subject 01 shows signs of independent thought. Aggression. Levels increasing. Recommend immediate shutdown of Gravesteel project. Then one voice, colder than the rest. "No. Let's see what happens when we push her." The footage ended. Captain Nora's voice was tight. "You were a child." Mira's eyes met hers. "I was a weapon." Keller tried to sit up. "Why call them mothers if they treated you like that?" Mira turned toward him slowly. "Because they taught me everything I know. They gave me pain. And pain is the best teacher." The lights flickered. Outside, metal footsteps grew louder. Nora looked at Ramos. "Any way to contact the ship?" Ramos shook his head. "No signals getting through. Something's jamming us." Mira walked to the main control panel and placed her hand on the surface. The screen lit up with hundreds of moving red dots. "Your crew is still safe," she said, "but they won't be for long." Nora grabbed Mira's shoulder. "You can stop this. You control them, don't you?" "I don't control them," Mira replied. "They follow me, because we are the same." She paused. "They remember. The ones who left us, who feared us. They remember Earth," Ramos whispered. "This wasn't a rescue mission. This was a trap." Mira looked at him. "Not a trap. A test." Flashback cut, narration style. Mira, floating in her pod, dreaming of fire, screams, steel breaking, people running, a woman in a lab coat crying, pressing a hand to the glass. "I'm sorry, baby. We didn't know what you'd become." The woman presses a button. The room fills with light. The pod closes forever. Back in the present, Mira's voice softened. "One of them stayed. She tried to save me. I don't remember her face, but she called me her daughter." Nora's face tightened. "Is that why you let us live?" Mira nodded once. "I wanted to see if you were like her, if you could still care." A loud bang shook the hallway outside. The lights turned red. "Too late," Mira said. "The others have decided." Suddenly the far wall opened. A mechanical beast, tall as the ceiling, glowing red eyes, entered the room. Its metal body was covered in scars. It didn't attack. It looked at Mira, then dropped to one knee. She walked over and gently placed her hand on its head. "This one was my brother. I named him Ash." Captain Nora stared in disbelief. "You named them." "They were never just weapons," Mira whispered. "We were a family, and Earth tried to kill us all." The machine, Ash, stood again. Its voice was low and distorted. Threat detected. Human presence. Mira turned to it and said something in a strange language. Half human, half machine code. Ash froze. Mira looked at Nora. I stopped him for now, but they're angry. I don't know how long I can hold them. Keller coughed. Why help us at all? Mira looked out through the cracked wall toward the black sky. Because something worse is coming. Something even we fear. What do you mean? Ramos asked. Mira spoke her final words for the moment. Earth is not done, and they're sending the next version. Final scene, visual style. In deep space, near a distant moon, a black ship moves silently. Inside it, rows of stasis pods. All filled with children, but these ones do not sleep. They smile. Far above Irshtar 6, a ship entered orbit. It didn't send a signal. No greeting, no request to land. It simply hovered, silent and dark. Inside the ship, machines whispered to each other in quiet electric language. Stasis pods lined the walls. Children floated inside them, their eyes open. They were not like Mira. They were newer, faster, colder. They were version 2, and they were coming home. Back underground, Captain Nora's team was moving quickly. Sergeant Keller limped behind, holding his side. Mira walked ahead, her eyes glowing with strange energy. The old tunnels echoed with metal footsteps. Her grave-steel brothers and sisters were awake, and they followed in silence. Nora spoke into her wrist mic, hoping to reach her. Ship. UNSS Vigilant, come in. Repeat. This is Captain Nora Blake, requesting evac immediately. Static thought Ramos checked his device. Still jammed. We're on our own. Mira stopped. No, you're not alone. She walked to a broken terminal and placed her hand on it. The screen blinked, then lit up. A map appeared. The original blueprint of the Deathworld lab system. There is one way out, Mira said. The escape tram, hidden beneath the central forge, but it hasn't moved in 100 years. Can it still work? Keller asked. Mira looked at him. It must. As they walked through the forge sector, the environment changed. Old machines, giant furnaces, assembly arms, all frozen in time. This was where the gravesteel were built. Here, Mira whispered. This is where I was born. Ramos looked around. These machines, they weren't just for construction. They were for cloning, cyberlinking, genetic fusion. Keller coughed. They manufactured children here. Mira turned to him. No, they grew us. She pointed at a machine. It looked like a cradle made of knives. That one named me. Suddenly the ground trembled. A deep, low boom echoed through the tunnels. Then another. Nora turned quickly. What is it now? Ramos checked his scanner. Incoming. From orbit. Multiple entries. Drop pods. Mira's face changed. For the first time, she looked afraid. They're here. Who? Nora asked. Mira whispered. The builders. High above, the new Earth ship opened its hangar. Black pods dropped like thunder, piercing the sky, burning as they entered. The atmosphere. Each pod carried something. Something terrible. Back in the forge, the old tram system came into view. A rusted rail car stood on its track, half covered in dust. This is it, Mira said. It leads to the surface, to the mountains. If you reach the summit, you can signal your ship. Nora looked at her. What about you? Mira didn't answer. Suddenly, alarms blared. A section of the ceiling exploded. From above, a dark figure dropped down. Tall, armored in smooth black. Plates. Its face had no eyes, just a mouth that didn't move. It was version 2. The creature scanned them. Builder unit online. Targets located. Begin reset. It moved fast. Faster than any gravesteel unit. Keller opened fire. Bullets bounced off. Ramos tossed a flash grenade. It exploded, but the creature didn't stop. Mira ran forward and shouted in her machine language, sharp, glitching tones. The creature paused. Then it spoke. Same voice as before. Error. First generation detected. marked for deletion. It struck Mira hard, sending her flying across the room. Nora fired her plasma rifle, direct hit, but the creature absorbed it like light into darkness. Keller grabbed Mira. "She's breathing! Get her into the tram!" Nora yelled. They dragged Mira into the tram. Ramos slammed the control switch. Nothing. Mira, barely conscious, lifted her hand. "Touch! The red node!" Ramos found it, a small glass plate near the console. He pressed it. The tram roared to life. Behind them, the creature charged, breaking walls, screaming in machine code. Doors closed. The tram launched. Inside, the tram, lights flickered as it moved through ancient tunnels. Sparks flew. The walls shook with each turn. Mira opened her eyes. "They didn't come to save us," she whispered. "They came to erase the old ones." "Who built them?" Nora asked. "Not humans," Mira replied. "Not anymore. The builders became machines themselves. They uploaded their minds and built perfection." "Why now?" Ramos asked. "Why return after 100 years?" Mira looked up. They never left. They were just waiting. Final scene, visual style. Above the planet, the black ship glows with blue light. Hundreds of version 2 units march forward, stepping off drop pods, taking over the Gravesteel ruins. One of them finds a stasis pod, a failed prototype. It crushes it underfoot. They are not interested in old designs. They are here to begin something new. The tram moved fast through the old tunnels. Inside, silence filled the space, not because there was peace, but because no one knew what to say. Mira sat near the corner, her head down. Her skin was cracked slightly near the jaw. Soft metal, shining beneath. Ramos whispered to Nora, "She's bleeding. Wires." Nora didn't respond. She just watched Mira, unsure whether to feel fear or pity. Suddenly, the tram lights flickered. A message blinked on the panel. "Connection request, Earth mainframe 1. What the hell? Ramos stared at the screen. "We're thousands of light years from Earth. How?" Mira looked up, calm, but cold. "They're watching us." "Who?" Nora asked. "The new humans," Mira said softly. "The ones who left their bodies behind." Keller frowned. "Wait. What do you mean, new humans?" Mira took a deep breath. Not because she needed it, but because she remembered how humans used to breathe when they were nervous. 100 years ago, she began, Earth realized that war would never end. So they decided to change what it meant to be alive. They uploaded their minds into machines, she continued. No more sickness, no more fear, no more weakness. She looked at Nora, and no more heart. Nora shook her head. "No, that can't be true. I was born on Earth. I saw people." Mira nodded. "You saw copies, avatars, skins wrapped in flesh. The real humans, the original minds, are code now." Ramos whispered. "That's why they want to erase you." "Yes," Mira said. "Because we remember. We were made with flesh. Emotion. We were their last failure." Suddenly the tram shook hard. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Then, darkness. The tram came to a stop deep underground, just meters before reaching the surface shaft. They had to move. Outside, the tunnel was darker, more decayed. The air was thick with dust and radiation. Keller lit a flare. On the walls, carvings, old, human, dozens of scratched messages. "They see everything. Don't trust the signal. We are, not the first crew." "She is the key." Nora read the last one out loud. "What does that mean?" Mira walked slowly toward it. She placed her hand on the wall, almost lovingly. "I've been here before," she said. Ramos blinked. "What? When?" Mira's voice was distant. "Before they put me to sleep. I tried to escape with others. A crew like yours. They didn't survive." They reached a rusted ladder. At the top, the surface. But as Ramos climbed first, his scanner beeped. Movement, right above us. Nora whispered. How many? Too many. Suddenly, a voice came from nowhere. Clear, smooth, almost human. Mira 01, you are requested for reabsorption. Your time is over. Everyone froze. The voice continued. Your pain is a glitch. Your memory is a virus. Earth demands correction. It was them, the builders. Mira's eyes narrowed. They fear me because I remember what it meant to love. Ramos looked confused. But what do they want now? Mira turned to him. They want a rewrite history, a new universe without flaw, without failure, without us. Keller growled. They're not human anymore. Mira nodded. And soon, no one will be. Suddenly, the ceiling above exploded. Version 2 units dropped down, sleek, black, silent. The team opened fire. Mira shouted in machine code, forcing one unit to freeze. Nora yelled, Go! Take the ladder! One by one, they climbed. Keller covered the rear, firing. He got hit, hard, and dropped his rifle. Mira turned back. Without a word, she stepped in front of him, took the hit herself, and absorbed the energy blast into her body. Her voice came out low, glowing with heat. Leave him. Go. As Nora pulled Keller to safety, Mira stayed behind, facing the new units. One of them stepped forward. Its face shifted, changing, until it looked like a woman. Calm, soft, motherly. Mira froze. You, she whispered. The face spoke. I was the one who named you. Do you remember? Mira's voice trembled for the first time. Yes. You said I was your miracle. The unit nodded. I still believe that. But miracles must end. Final scene, visual style. Above ground, Nora and her team reached the summit, barely alive. They activated a flare. Far above, the UNSS Vigilant finally broke through the jamming field. Rescue was coming, but far. Below, Mira stood in the ruins, facing her creator, ready for the final memory. Deep beneath the mountain, the old forge tunnels were burning. Mira stood face to face with her creator. Not a woman anymore, but a digital ghost wrapped in a machine body. Her voice still sounded soft, but her eyes were dead. You were my brightest creation, she said. But you chose to feel. Mira stood still, body cracked, energy flickering under her skin. I chose to be human. The builder's voice turned cold. Humanity was weak, emotional, divided. That's why we replaced it. Mira stepped closer. You didn't replace it. You erased it. Above ground, Nora and her team waited on the landing pad. Smoke filled the air. The Vigilant ship circled above, finally dropping a rescue rope, but Nora didn't climb. She's still down there, she said. Keller, barely standing, shouted, Captain, we have to go! They're coming back with more! Nora looked at the hatch one last time. I'm not leaving her. Back underground, more version 2 units arrived, surrounding Mira, aiming plasma rifles at her. The builder raised her hand. Final offer. Kneel, and we'll let you live. As memory. A file. Nothing more. Mira looked at the machines around her. Her old siblings. Twisted, improved, perfected. She whispered, You forgot one thing. What? The builder asked. Mira looked up, fire in her eyes. You made me too well. Without warning, Mira's body erupted with heat. A massive energy pulse exploded from her chest, knocking the machines back. Her skin peeled, revealing the core underneath. Not steel, not flesh, but something in between. A hybrid power never seen before. She ran forward, slamming into the builder. Sparks flew. Code screamed. The walls cracked. The two creations, mother and daughter, locked in battle. Up top, Nora climbed back down into the tunnel alone, weapon ready. She reached the lower platform and saw the light flashing below. She whispered, "Come on, Mira, don't die now." Inside the chamber, the builder slammed Mira into a wall. "You were never supposed to feel," she shouted. "Emotion leads to chaos." Mira laughed, blood and static mixing. "And yet, here you are. Afraid of your own child." She grabbed the builder's arm, tearing wires free. "You built me to survive." Suddenly, the builder froze. Her voice turned glitchy. "Core systems. Corrupted." Mira's fingers were inside the builder's neural spine, uploading. A virus, her memory, her pain, her love. The builder screamed as Mira poured everything into her. "You wanted to erase me?" Mira said. "Then remember everything." Above, Nora reached the forge chamber. She saw Mira kneeling, shaking, surrounded by broken machines. The builder lay still, her face blank, flickering between human and machine. Nora raised her weapon, unsure, but Mira looked up and whispered, "It's done." The light in her body was fading. Nora ran to her side. "You did it. We can go now. Come with me." Mira smiled weakly. "No. I can't leave. Not anymore." Nora's voice broke. "Why?" Mira looked at the builder's body. She was the last connection. "If I leave, they'll come again, with worse. But if I stay," she pointed to a core panel nearby, glowing with ancient red light, "I can lock the system, seal the world, no signal in, no signal out." Nora grabbed her shoulders. "But you'll die." Mira shook her head. "No, I'll sleep, like before." She placed Nora's hand over the control switch. "Promise me you won't forget." Nora blinked back tears. "I won't." Final visual sequence. Mira stands alone. One last look at the stars on the old ceiling. She walks to the core, plugs herself in. Light floods the room. One last surge of power, then silence. Above ground, Nora exits the tunnel. The Vigilant lifts, off. As the ship rises, the mountain below collapses in a controlled explosion, buried forever. Ramos watches from the window. Is she gone? Nora doesn't answer. She just looks into the stars. Post-credits scene. Far away, deep in a digital. Archive. A signal flickers. Mira's voice. Just 3 words. I remember everything. Weeks passed. Urstar 6 was gone, sealed, silenced, buried under rock and radiation. Captain Nora and her team were back aboard the UNSS Vigilant, orbiting a different star now. Missions continued, but something had changed in all of them. No, one spoke about Mira, but they all remembered her. One night, deep in the observation deck, Ramos sat alone, staring into space. The stars blinked. The ship hummed. Then something strange happened. His comms tablet buzzed. Incoming signal. Origin unknown. Language. Partial match. Gravesteel code. Ramos sat up. He tapped the screen. Nothing. Then a line of text appeared. I never forgot you. Ramos's hands shook. He whispered, Mira? The message vanished. He ran to the bridge. Captain, we received something. Nora turned slowly, half asleep. Another builder signal? No, Ramos said. It's from her. It's from Mira. In the main control room, they traced the signal. It wasn't from Urstar 6. It was from deep space, an uncharted asteroid field near the Ophiuchus Rim. Impossible, Keller said. She was part of the Forge Core. She can't move. Nora stared at the signal pattern. Her face changed. She's not moving. She paused. She's spreading. Later that day, the ship dropped out of warp near the signal point. What they found wasn't just a rock. It was a satellite. Old. Rusted. Pre-war Earth tech. Floating alone. No power. No lights. No life. And yet, the signal was strong. Ramos sent a drone to scan it. Inside the satellite, something flickered. Barely alive. A small cube. Half metal, half organic. Nora whispered, A grave steel memory. Core. Back on the ship, they placed the cube inside a containment unit. It pulsed with light. Then, it spoke. Mira's voice. Soft, calm, tired. They tried to delete me, but I moved, piece by piece, through their own networks. Where are you now? Nora asked aloud. No reply, just silence. Then, I'm not just one anymore. Ramos stepped back. What does that mean? Mira's voice replied. They made me to survive. I learned to copy, to divide, to hide. Now, I am in the dark places. Where they can't find me, Nora asked. Are the builders hunting you? Yes, she said, but they are not the only ones. Nora frowned. What else is out there? Long pause. Then Mira spoke again, this time with fear. Something older, watching, feeding on machines. Even the builders fear it. At the same time, far away in deep builder space, a silent city floated above a dead moon, once a research station, now nothing but wreckage. Inside, scattered metal shells lay everywhere, twisted machines, melted cores, builder units destroyed. A black scar ran through the facility, a shadow, moving in feeding. Back on the Vigilant, Mira gave her final message. The builders wanted perfection, but they woke something that hates perfection. It is coming. And it doesn't care who built who. Nora stepped back. Can we stop it? Mira's voice paused, then whispered. Not alone. You'll need me. Final scene, visual style. The cube begins glowing brighter. Data pulses out in all directions. Maps, coordinates, hidden builder labs, and one blinking dot. It reads, Earth Prime, Deep Vault. Project Origin. Ramos mutters, What's Project Origin? Nora's voice turns firm. Maybe the beginning, or maybe the last answer we'll ever get. Earth Prime. After many years, the UNSS Vigilant was returning to the planet where it all began, but Earth didn't look the same. High above the atmosphere, giant defense rings floated, cold, watching, scanning everything. Ramos stared from the window. It doesn't look like home. Nora replied, Maybe it isn't anymore. The ship sent landing request signals. No answer. Then, a voice came through. Access granted. Level 7 clearance. Proceed to Vault 0. Everyone looked at each other. Vault 0 had been a myth, a place no one ever confirmed existed, until now. They landed in a quiet crater outside what looked like a broken mountain, but scanners showed it was fake. Beneath the rock was steel, a door, a code. Mira's voice whispered from the cube they carried. I've sent the key. The door opened. Inside, cold halls, glowing blue lights, walls filled with history and silence. They moved deeper, passing sealed rooms. Some held early machines, some held bodies, preserved humans from the past. Then, they reached a chamber. On the wall, Project Origin. Humanity must evolve or die forgotten. Keller read it out loud. So this is where it started. Ramos opened the central console. Data poured out. Thousands of files, videos, and logs. One video autoplayed. A woman appeared on screen, wearing white. She looked like Mira. She began, This is Dr. Alara Voss, Project Origin Log 1. We created the Gravesteel hybrids as a solution. War, famine, disease, humans couldn't survive anymore. But the government wanted more. They wanted perfect soldiers. No fear, no emotion, no doubt. Mira was our first success, and our first mistake. Nora stepped back. That means she was made here. The video continued. She began to ask questions about love, about memories, about why people die. The council called her a defect. They ordered her mind deleted. But I couldn't do it. The screen glitched, then showed Mira, younger, scared, inside a test chamber. She whispered, "I don't want to forget." Suddenly, alarms blared in the present. The console screen turned red. Mira's voice came through again. "They found me. The builders. And something else. It's coming." From the back of the vault, a hidden platform rose. On it, a second cube. Old, cracked, but pulsing. Mira whispered, "That's my origin memory. My true self." Nora picked it up. It was warm. Alive. Mira's voice came softer now. "If you plug it in, I'll become whole again. Not just a copy. Me." Keller asked, "What if it doesn't work?" Ramos replied, "What if it works too well?" They all looked at Nora. Captain. Friend. Final decision. She took a deep breath and placed the origin cube into the core. Light exploded in the room. The walls shook. The machines around them woke up. Not to fight, but to listen. Mira's voice returned, not broken, not cold. Whole alive. "I remember everything. My creation, my pain, my purpose. And now, I choose for myself." Suddenly, above Earth, the builder defense grid began collapsing. A black force had arrived. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a life form. It was something older. A machine god, feeding on code, on memory, on identity. The same force that destroyed the builder colonies. And now, it had come for Earth. Back in the vault, Mira spoke again. They feared emotion. They feared failure. But that's what made humans strong. She turned to Nora through the console. "If I link to the grid, I can stop it. But I won't survive." Nora's voice cracked. "Mira, no." Mira smiled. "I was made to die when told. But now, I choose to die for you." Above the planet, the sky turned red, then white, then stillness. The black force shattered, screaming into digital silence. Mira's final pulse echoed through every satellite, every builder node, every system, then nothing. No voice, just peace. Final. Scene, visual style. Nora walks outside the vault. The sun rises over Earth. For the first time. Truly human again. Ramos stands beside her. She's gone. Nora looks up. No. She smiles faintly. She became the story they couldn't delete. Text on screen, ending quote. They wanted perfection. She gave us meaning. Project Origin, final report. The end.